What's up and welcome inside the opening line. Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, rocking out with the head honcho today, my man Rob from Fantasy Elite. No Benny, holding it down for Benny today. Rob, what's good with you, my man?
What's good, man? What's good? Look, I got I got my AB on.
Exactly. I love it.
I'm a Steelers fan, and I got to figure out what jersey should I get, man?
You should probably get the Juju joint now. That's where I would go.
I think so.
Yeah, a Juju. It's funny you got the AB on. I don't know if you ever heard the story or not, but one of the reasons why I'm here today is because of Antonio Brown.
What?
Yes. I legendarily called Antonio Brown's breakout, what was that, 6 years ago now? And the person who was going against me saying it wasn't going to happen was Jeff Mans.
Wait a minute.
We had a real crazy argument back in the day on Sirius XM. It got real wild. Like, it was one of the best moments in the history of Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. And it was all over Antonio Brown, who did end up breaking out. I'm a big AB guy.
Yeah.
I think he's lost his mind now. Well, not lost his mind. I think we're seeing what he always was.
Well, what we knew in Pittsburgh is exactly what he is showing the entire world now, what he's doing in Oakland. I mean, I don't think it was any secret that the man became a problem in the locker room. And, the bottom line is you're not going to butt heads with Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh and stick around to tell the story. So
I always thought that. Now, I'm of the belief that Ben Roethlisberger is the problem. I actually got in trouble one time. We was on Radio Row when Super Bowl was in New York, and I called Ben Roethlisberger a douche. The NFL had told, like, the program director, like, we don't want people on our set on Radio Row calling one of our quarterbacks a douche. You know what I'm saying?
No, man. Thinking back to the AB breakout, was it Emmanuel Sanders that the Steelers got rid of that year where AB broke out? We got rid of some
Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And kind of the theory behind it was the Todd Haley connection. Todd Haley has worked with Hall of Fame wide receivers, Larry Fitzgerald, Terrell Owens, Mike Wallace, AB, Emmanuel Sanders, wide receivers that come up under Todd Haley, Anquan Bolden. They tend to do very well. And the year before that he broke out, he had 60 catches. And I was like, nah, this dude can have like 100-catch season.
Yeah.
And since then, AB's been my guy because I always remember our buddy, you know what I'm saying, our colleague, John Hanson, always tells the story about how he predicted the Torrey Holt breakout. And I was like, well, I predicted the Antonio Brown breakout. So that's my guy, and I'm sticking with him. Antonio Brown being a Dade County guy, really, a lot of people think Antonio Brown was like this dude that came out of nowhere. Antonio Brown was a legend in South Florida.
Yeah.
This could never, he rarely went to school. You know what I'm saying? He bounced around from house to house from the time he was 14 years old. And that's why he ended up at Central Michigan, because people couldn't trust him. And now you see what's going on with his career in the NFL.
Look, man, I love AB. I once said if I could be any athlete, I'd be AB. Everybody's like, what the fuck? I love the man. I think he's cool. He wears this gold chain with a gold bar hanging off the middle. I can't hate on AB. I really can't.
AB's the man. You know what I'm saying? I think I don't know. I don't think CTE has set in yet. It's just that Dade County in him. Let me ask you this. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
So the rivalry is not what it used to be between the Cowboys and Steelers, but I was born after those Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So obviously I was there for the one they played, the Larry Brown game. But what do you think of the Steelers going into this season? I think Baltimore and Cleveland are going to finish higher in that division.
You think Baltimore and Cleveland are going to finish higher than the Steelers?
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is a cold take right here. Cold take. I think Pittsburgh wins 11 games.
Wow.
And this is not the homer in me. If you watch what Connor did last year, Juju, listen, I'm not the fantasy expert. I'm not the fantasy executive. But I'll be drafting Juju number 1 off the board for wide receivers.
I like Juju. I think he was a steal. He was a player that I kind of overlooked when he came out and he got drafted, and we've seen what he's done these first 2 seasons. And I'm a Juju supporter. That's where AB lost me. Like when he was going after Ben Roethlisberger, and I love the Rooneys. I think the Rooneys are great. I think they're the best family in sports. I think they have the best run organization in sports in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not a Ben Roethlisberger guy. So I was on AB's side with that. But when he started coming after Juju, I'm like, come on, man. Juju's a 20-something-year-old trying to get his first big payday. Don't do that to Juju.
No, Juju was a threat to AB, and he couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And, Juju has the tools. He's so much bigger than AB. He could be all-time Hall of Famer, in my opinion. I mean, he's got the equipment. You might not know this about me, so I'm interested about your take. I am famously a Mike Tomlin hater. I think this man couldn't manage a football game to save his life. What he does with the timeouts, he hasn't won a challenge in like 3 years or something.
Crazy. That's wild.
What is he doing? He cannot manage a football. He's probably a good coach. I don't, with the players, all that kind of stuff. He's probably a good coach. But man, I think he cost us a lot of football games.
You know what? I've always been very critical of Mike Tomlin. Like always, always, always. I didn't like what he did on the sideline in that game.
The trip?
That trip game, that game against Baltimore, that Thanksgiving night. I didn't like that. It was a very intense game between the Cowboys and the Steelers played in Heinz Field. I'm going to Pittsburgh and Baltimore this year too.
Oh yeah, in Baltimore or Pittsburgh?
In Pittsburgh. It'll be my first trip to Pittsburgh.
Oh, nice.
I know an assistant coach on the Ravens. So I didn't like that. It was during the Terrell Owens, Tony Romo era. They played a real intense, passionate football game in Pittsburgh. Steelers ended up winning that game. Romo threw a late interception. And just Mike Tomlin he coaches a dirty brand of football, in my opinion. That's what I don't like about Mike Tomlin.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a lame duck, is he? Did he get an extension?
Yeah, they extended him. Yeah, because I went fucking bananas when they extended him. I thought there was a chance he would get fired, but I mean, as you said, with the Rooneys, they're clearly the best ownership in maybe all of professional sports.
I would say them and the crew in Los Angeles, the bus crew.
Yeah, right. But my only knock on the Rooneys is what also makes them great is they're very patient.
Yeah.
But at some point, I mean, they like Tomlin. They're Tomlin people. I get it. I'm not, but they gave him the extension. But they can be patient to a fault, right?
They've only had 3 head coaches, which is amazing. That's absolutely amazing right there.
Amazing. When I grew up, I was the biggest Chuck Noll fan. And then Bill Cowher came in. It was sort of in that same mold. And then when Tomlin came in, I was so excited. Getting a young coach in there was really pumped up. And, Tomlin, how many Super Bowls does he have? 1? 2? 1?
They won.
Yeah.
They won the Arizona game. They lost the Packer game.
Right. He's been the 2, lost 1, lost 1. But I was pumped coming out, and the knock on him was that was Mike Bill Cowher's team. But at any rate, he won the Super Bowl. So, anyways, I was really high on him, and just after just all of his blunders over the years, starting with the trip, maybe I'm out.
You know what? They're going to be like how the Knicks are to the Bulls. Like like the Knicks, the Bulls were to the Knicks what the Patriots are to the Steelers. Like
no
that
doubt.
One team. I think that is in this Patriot era, they've been the second best team, particularly in the AFC. And it's like, well, you didn't win, but you were going against Tom Brady every year.
Yeah, any other division, the Steelers are, legendary, but we've just, you've gone up against Michael Jordan, like you're saying. I mean,
yeah. And you're going up against the GOAT, and it's tough to beat cats like that. Speaking of GOATs, Andrew Luck. I've always said if you was to re-rack it and take every player off every team and throw them all into the NFL draft, and you had like a 5-day draft extravaganza where you built teams from scratch, I've always said that Andrew Luck would be my personally first pick. I think Andrew Luck's the best quarterback in football. The thing about it with him now is becoming these injuries. And I think the Colts are mismanaging Andrew Luck.
Yeah, so I agree on your Luck. I don't know if I would take him one, but he's in the conversation of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks for me.
Yeah.
What is disappointing, I was thinking about this just before the show, is this is an athlete of a mold of a lot of other athletes that we've seen that the injury bug has robbed them of the career that they should have had.
No
right?
doubt.
We're seeing this with Luck now. It doesn't appear that he can stay, 100% for a full season. What's he got now? Something with an ankle. And by the way, did you see Ocho Cinco's remedy for Andrew Luck's ankle?
Not what he said. He's a wild.
He said he needs to soak it in piss.
It's another Dade County dude.
Ocho Cinco said he used to soak his ankles in piss.
I don't. Ocho Cinco's another wild dude. See, here's the thing with Luck, right? The shoulder, right? So I was watching. Do you watch any of the? Because I don't watch them. I see the clips, like the shows that the first takes and the debate shows and the hot take shows with these guys and stuff.
I'll see the highlights like you, but I don't sit through a whole one.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to. You know what I'm saying? I've always the thing with the shoulder was they played him on that bad shoulder instead of getting the surgery. But then I heard on one of those shows, the one with Whitlock, who I despise, that he actually ended the shoulder himself. He made it worse doing something outside of football or whatever. But I thought that the organization mismanaged that. This year he's dealing with a calf strain. At least we've heard that. And it's morphed into a high ankle sprain. I was worried about the calf strain because that's essentially the Kevin Durant injury. You know what I'm saying? And we saw how it ended for Kevin Durant. So the calf strain morphed, and so for Durant, the calf strain became the torn Achilles, and that's because he shouldn't have been playing on it.
Right.
Luck's not practicing this week. They said he may practice on Monday. He's not going to practice on Monday. Would you, as a fantasy owner, would you be all systems go on Andrew Luck and the pieces in the Colts offense if the first time you see him is on week 1?
No, I'm going to have a hard time with that because it's history driven. And and also whenever you hear in sports high ankle sprain, we know how long that injury can linger and how serious it could be. I mean, a high ankle sprain is not only lingering, it's also reoccurring. So literally he could fight this thing for the entire football season, right?
Yeah.
So I would have great concerns drafting Andrew Luck.
Yeah, and I think the pieces around him, T.Y. Hilton right now has a second-round ADP. I think we got to drop T.Y. Hilton. Marlon Mack is a guy that people are looking at for a breakout season. I think we got to temper those expectations on Marlon Mack a little bit. Eric Ebron caught 12 touchdown passes last year after not catching 12 balls his whole career. And I think we got to temper those expectations, obviously, with Eric Ebron. The injury to Andrew Luck, you get Jacoby Brissett as the backup. I think it brings the whole offense down. So as we come up on these big-time draft weekends these next couple of weeks, it's going to be interesting to see where Andrew Luck ADP goes. I would err to the side of caution.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt.
Because, like I said, no matter how good Luck is, you can't they're not going to win with Jacoby Brissett. And I think Brissett's a good young quarterback, but I don't think he's ready to be the guy right now. Now, what do you think this does to their win total?
Hold on a second. I've got my win total here. So, what are the Colts sitting at now? They're sitting at 10 wins. I was over on this total.
I was too.
With a healthy Andrew Luck, they win 11, maybe 12 games. So I was very high on this 10. With the news that's come out in the last few days, in fact, I'm going to make a modification right here while we're speaking. I err to the side of caution. I mean, I would be looking, I might not put the underplay on, but I would be erring on the side of caution and certainly not be betting the over here.
What I find interesting is, and I'm just noticing that as we talking now, I put up the FanDuel sportsbook. It's off the board. The Colts win total is off the board.
Yeah.
So that right there is a sign that Vegas thinks something's going on in Indianapolis.
Well, it's not a minor injury, right? I mean, anytime you're talking about starting quarterback here, they're going to – the sports books are also going to err on the side of caution, and they're just not going to let you have action on it one way or the other. I think it could easily be a loser just saying, oh, Luck's hurt, go ahead and bet this under. I wouldn't do that, but I certainly would not be going and rushing to put money on either side of it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's when you leave off the board right now. When you look at as far as that division goes, I think the Colts were in prime position to be the winner of that division. They're sitting at plus 110 right now. The Texans are sitting at plus 270. What do you think about that with this latest Andrew Luck news?
I would still take the Colts, but I think plus 110 is probably a little bit light. I'd like to be getting plus 130, plus 140 with this news. It's funny, they pulled the win total off the board, but you could still bet the division.
You can still bet the division.
Yeah, I wonder if they've moved that number at all.
That's interesting because I know me and Benny had did it before, but it's not like I wrote it down. Yeah, so like, is this an accident that this still is up here? Like, did somebody at FanDuel be like, oh, I adjusted, we took the win total, but we forgot to left the division up there? The Texans at 270 is interesting. Then
yeah, it is. It is.
It could be a trap too, though.
110 is not high enough for me to bet the Colts to win that division, and probably 270 is about fair on Houston.
Let me ask you this. Speaking of the trap, do you believe in trap games?
No.
I'm a firm believer in trap.
No.
Yes.
Why? Tell me why.
I give you an instance, right, from last season. Last season, of course, everybody really got into it. You know, I had dibbled and dabbled before. Me and my brother-in-law, we used to go down because we living in the New York area. It's not like we can go to Las Vegas every weekend. What we would do, and it's so funny, right? Like my kids live in D.C., right? Yeah. So if they would be up on the weekend or something like that, I would like say to their mom, you know, meet me halfway, and halfway would be Delaware, and Delaware would have the parlay cards. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, oh yeah, we're going to take the kids back, and then we'd be in Delaware betting on the parlay cards. So now, you know, obviously bet single game and stuff like that in Jersey. You know, I was at the FanDuel Sportsbook from Saturday morning all the way until Saturday night. You know what I'm saying? Doing that whole.
Did you see Tommy G up in there?
He wasn't in there a lot during the football season last year. I started seeing Tommy around college basketball season. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm a big college basketball guy. So what ends up happening is, you know, going out there and betting these games and stuff like that, you start to learn some tricks and some trends. So in the early part of last season, the Buffalo Bills were covering big spreads. Like they covered a big spread against the Patriots. They covered a big spread against the Vikings, actually won a game. Then the next
– they're getting like 10, right?
Yeah, against the Vikings, it was 17.5.
Right.
I was like, and they won the game. I'll never forget. They kind of blew them out. So that next week they were playing the Colts, and the Colts were laying 10.5. And everybody was like, oh, the Bills been covering these big spreads. They've been covering. Everybody hammered the Bills. And I was like, the bookmakers can't be simple enough to just give the public the Colts. I mean, of the Bills a free win. Right. So I rolled the Colts, and the Colts blew them out. Right. Another situation was the Titans and the Patriots. The Patriots money line was 185, and I was like, man, that's too juicy for the public. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? The Titans going to win this game because that's going to be a Patriots minus 185 is going to be attached to every single parlay. And the Patriots lost that game. So that's why I kind of started believing in the trap game. What would be your counter to that?
My counter is that sharp money is going to move aside based on where the most likely outcome is. So if on a Sunday afternoon, 12:30, right, before the games go, there's massive liquidity in that market, right? I mean, there's offshore sports books taking $50,000 bets on a side. Mm-hmm. So all of the known information, if you believe in market efficiency, all of the known information is baked into that single number, right? It's like buying a stock. When you buy a stock, all the known information is in the number of the price of the stock, right? Well, that's what they assume. So in my opinion, if it was enough of a trap, all the money's going to flood there. And when the money floods somewhere, the bookmakers have no choice but to adjust that line up or down based on which side of the action the money's coming on.
No doubt. All right, so
that's why I don't believe in a trap game, but lots of people believe in trap games. So.
Yeah, I am. And when you look at money lines, for example, that Patriots situation, if you see the Patriots at a 175 or a 155, that doesn't trigger you and saying, this is interesting.
Maybe, but I only bet numbers, so it's like I will know, I will understand, I will know, like, okay, my number's 200 or my number's 150, and I just compare it to whatever market is. So it's not like I'm not sitting there trying to think through.
You set the line yourself,
right,
and then you see what it does after that.
Right, exactly.
That's been successful for you.
Yeah, very, very. But I understand the other side too. And I wish I could bet more like what you're saying is just formulating an opinion and then going and making, your bets based on that opinion, because there's a lot more fun to that than just say, well, my number's X, Y, and Z, and this is why I bet. It's pretty boring, right?
Listen, if you stick to your number and it's working for you, you know what I'm saying? Godspeed, you know what I'm saying? Because, with me, first college football.
Yeah.
Man, I struggled with college football. I didn't really catch college football until bowl season last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was throwing the money away every single Saturday. The only thing that I had last year that I can rely on Saturdays was the Alabama first half. That Alabama first half was brilliant last year. I believe it was 13-1, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going into this season, you got to try to find new ways and new tricks, because you don't want to fuck your Sunday money up on Saturday. When it comes to college football, what do you do? The same concept?
I don't do anything with college football. I know some people that are very good at it, and I'll bet what they tell me to bet on. Personally don't bet. College football for me, it's just too many games. Like, I cannot I can't do it. I know some people that could do it very well, but here's a tip for college football betting. And just think about this logically, Corey. So Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State. These are like the most well-known teams in the country, right? Clemson. Everybody knows every single thing that you need to know about Ohio State football or Michigan football or Bama. Like, all the information, everybody's talking about it all week. Everybody knows everything. So your assumption should be those lines on those teams are going to be incredibly sharp.
Yep.
Now, Western Michigan, ECU over here in North Carolina, like these smaller market teams where they're not on ESPN, they're not in the newspaper, you can find edges. I had an edge on ECU about 3 years ago. ECU was blowing cats the fuck out and putting up like massive totals. And in fact, this is when before college football DFS got taken down, the first time, that quarterback for ECU, the season I'm talking about, was an absolute beast. But I found an edge betting ECU and made a lot of money doing it. So my only recommendation to people is think about the smaller market, mid-major football teams. You can find edges in there.
Yeah, and what I like, and what you said, there's so many teams. I focus on conferences. I focus on the SEC because I watch shit on TV. You know what I'm saying? Those are the big games. The ACC, schools I'm familiar with, being a basketball fan and stuff like that. So I like those schools. And then Thursday night, those MAC games on Thursday night. And I think that's what you're talking about, that Thursday night MACtion. Those games that come on ESPN2.
Give me Toledo.
There you go. Toledo versus Central Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
exactly.
Versus Buffalo. And those games are on TV, and it makes for some good times. As far as on social media yesterday, looking at this thing with Barstool, they do a great job of stirring controversies, Dave Portnoy and the crew. And I think he always knows what he's doing, and I think it's always a method to his madness. Now, growing up in the New York City area, I come from heavy union background. My pops being a postal worker, my mom's being a nurse, you know what I'm saying? Some of the most powerful unions in the country, right? So, in my family, most of them work in education and stuff like that. So I can dig that aspect of it. But unionizing bloggers is it's unheard of. I thought it was a joke, actually, until I read through it and was like, wow, this is really real.
Two things. So I don't have strong takes on unions. I was in a union. So I grew up in northeastern Ohio. And the day I turned 18, my father got me a job in a steel mill.
Yeah.
And I worked in that steel mill all the way. I put myself through college working through that steel mill, and I was in the union. So in an environment where you're on fucking midnight turn with shit that can cut your fucking arm off, and it's cold as shit, and they don't care if you have a lunch break. Like, unions to me are for laboring jobs and jobs where you have some sort of risk. Now, my wife's a teacher. She's in a union. I won't get into all that. But for me, like, the union was made for a coal mine. Like, you could understand why in the 1940s they had to organize labor, because the bosses would just shove your ass in a coal mine for 12 hours, right? So to think about unionizing people that are writing funny stories about tits and dicks on the internet, like,
Yes, I've heard it all. Like, and you know what? I know a girl that works. Yeah, well, I think it's a Gawker site that works for a Gawker site. I think at least it was, or I think it might still be. And I want to run into her and ask her about this, because when I heard that, I was absolutely flabbergasted. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" I thought it was satire, to be honest with you.
Well, I think Portnoy is probably one of the smartest people on the internet, and he knows how to. He's like a puppet master on Twitter. Like, this guy he's just a savant. He's just genius with what he does. And he started this, in my opinion, as a total troll, as a fishing expedition to get clicks and links. And lo and behold,
it worked.
Your favorite representative out of the state of New York, AOC, took the bait.
I can't believe she jumped on it. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'm out here right now, and, well, I'm in Long Island, so her main district is right across the water. I mean, well, not right across the water, it's right across the border. And my thing was, I was talking to a buddy of mine about it last night, and I'm like, why did she hop into this? And I was like, you know what? She was just following the trend. Because when she got into it, it was a #2 trend on Twitter. And I was like, that's why she hopped in on it. But like, listen, you got to pick your battles. This is not a battle to pick, because Portnoy is trolling you right now.
He wanted the battle, because Barstool does this better than anyone in the world. They pick fights with people to grow their brand. Yep. And when he hooked AOC, he had to be thinking, oh, fuck yeah, here we go. And I don't know if you saw this, but dumb shit Donnie Jr. piled on. Trump Jr. piled on. And for real, man, go to Trump Jr.'s timeline. He quote tweeted Portnoy with like 3 boxes of popcorn.
Wow. Yeah, he hit a home run with that one.
Home run.
Hit a home run with that one. And if you know the game, like, as soon as I saw it that he was catching fire, I'm like, man, son is doing it again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I haven't really been the biggest fan of the brand. I understand they can't do nothing about the comment section, but it just like, oh man, it just like, wow, you know what I'm saying? It made put it like this, ESPN.com in the early years had a horrific comment section, right? Barstool, Deadspin also, when they were very popular, their comment section was horrific too. Barstool the same way. You can't really do anything about that, because that's people's, First Amendment rights. You know what I'm saying? So they took they took the comment section off, and it's become a little bit better. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They had the thing with that girl, a couple years ago. The ESPN thing didn't work for them. I think ESPN really wanted to be in bed with them, but they realized that, okay, well, this is not going to work because of that brand. But they really wanted it to work. Yeah.
Well, it's not the brand, though. And I think, ultimately the brand's pretty strong. If you ask the average 25-year-old of this country where they get sports news and other news from, like, a lot of them are probably going to say Barstool's, right? And not ESPN. I mean, it's reality.
Yeah. They got an office in Manhattan. I've been over past there a couple times. You would think that small operation has grown into one of the real big powerhouses in sports. So shout out to those dudes. Found that to be interesting yesterday. Also yesterday, this thing with Jay-Z and the NFL. I'm a CK guy without being, everybody knows that by now. I've gotten into a lot of trouble. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of beefs on air and stuff like that. But I kind of look at when the Kaepernick thing, when the settlement happened, okay, it was like, okay, it's over now. You know what I'm saying? This is done. You know what I'm saying? He has become a spokesperson for Nike. If Nike was to ever release a signature Colin Kaepernick shoe, it would outsell Zion, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, all of that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a path that he's likely going to go down. So when I seen this Jay-Z thing yesterday, my first thought was, I wonder if Colin Kaepernick is involved in this in some kind of way. Well, Eric Reed eventually was like, okay, no, nothing to do with it, yada, yada, yada. Any partnership does not include Colin Kaepernick. It's just, something that's good for the NFL and not for nobody else. I trust Jay-Z and his and what he's done with the culture more so than I do Eric Reed or Malcolm Jenkins or definitely the NFL. But the thing about it is, Colin Kaepernick sued his employer and got a settlement. He got a settlement from the NFL, which is unheard of.
Right.
You can't sue your employer and then expect for them to hire you back. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, you're absolutely correct. And Colin Kaepernick, he can't have it. He can't have his cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Right? Once you've divested from your employer like this and got as far as to sue them and win a settlement, it's over, man. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Cash in the chips, take your check, go do your Nike thing, right? Like, and I have no hate for Colin Kaepernick. Like, the man did what he thought he had to do. Ultimately, he probably was blacklisted from NFL teams, and
I think that's why they settled, because they had those emails, they had those records, and I think it went all the way to Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah,
and I think that's why the NFL didn't want to open it up and let the public see that, so they settled. And so I'm like, he won,
right?
But now the come back to the NFL thing is, you already sued them, dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. It's a bad look too for the NFL. Like, they're setting a bad message. But and as far as Kaepernick goes with Nike, like, do your thing. You're absolutely right. He should just go do that thing. And he's no longer a football player. Yeah, and say what you will about Colin Kaepernick, his career in the NFL was as unimpressive as any career I've ever seen in the NFL. Like, he had talent. He was an okay player, but it's not like, he wasn't a Hall of Fame caliber football player.
He was when he was with Greg Roman and they was running that system in San Francisco when they went to the Super Bowl and played deep into the playoffs. He was very good. You don't see quarterbacks in high school. You see quarterbacks ripping off 70, 80-yard runs. You don't see it in the NFL. And he was doing that consistently. Mm-hmm. He threw the football well. I think he hit a stretch with some immaturity. And then he became like, this activist. So I didn't see that coming, because I legit, before all this started, knew 49er fans that was like, we want him off the team. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this, because the activism and when he started taking the knee coincided with his down, the trend down in his football career, right? So would he, if he was a legit starting quarterback for the team, would he have done the same thing?
No, I don't think, put it like this. I think more than likely he was always doing this to some form of fashion. Mm-hmm. But the way the story is, and it's a dude, I can't think of his name right now. He's a homeboy of mine too. I wish I could remember his name. Weich. I think it's Steve White, Mark Weich or something. He worked for the NFL. He worked for NFL.com. He was in the press box, and he noticed Colin Kaepernick sitting down during the national anthem. My guess is he probably always sat during the national anthem. But when Weich asked him about it, he answered the question, and that's when the firestorm began. You know what I'm saying? So my thing was, he probably, in my opinion, he wasn't looking for it. I think it was more or less like, okay, well, somebody asked me about it, so I'm going to answer it. Then they kept asking and kept asking and kept asking and kept asking. Then it became this whole big thing. Now, as far as coming back, I do believe there was some blacklisting because the Cowboys needed a backup quarterback. That's the year going into Dak Prescott. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, this guy would be a good fit, a good backup quarterback for the Cowboys. My thing was, at this point was, you can't have the backup quarterback drawing all this attention. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to open up the doors to the locker room and everybody runs to the backup quarterback locker room. You know what I mean? So I look at it in that way. I do think he was, like I said, he won the settlement. He won a settlement against an entity that owns the day of the week. It's over now. You know what I'm saying? So this thing with the NFL and Roc Nation and Jay-Z and stuff like that, producing halftime shows and different ventures and stuff like that. I'm not going to, a lot of people in the culture are saying, oh, well, how could Jay do this to Colin Kaepernick? Well, Colin Kaepernick is already done. That's done already. It's been settled.
So businessman Jay-Z should turn down an opportunity. Jay-Z's huge. Roc Nation's huge. But the NFL is another thing. So businessman Jay-Z should turn down what could be an opportunity of a lifetime for his Roc Nation company because of Colin Kaepernick, who's already cashed a check. Get the fuck out of here.
He's already cashed a check. I think they want to look at ownership in some point. That's what my guess that this could possibly be. The halftime thing, whatever, that's novelty, you know what I mean? I'm sure it's something deeper behind this. He's a Dallas Cowboy fan, much like myself, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's cool. I met Jay-Z before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is
I love Jay-Z.
He's a cool cat. This was late 90s, mid to late 90s. Homeboy of mine had got some passes. This is how crazy this story is. Had got some passes to, I don't know if you remember the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Got some passes to the Lost Boys album release party. This is their first album, you know what I'm saying? With Renee and Jeeps, Lex, Coops, and Benz and all of that. And me and my homeboy, we got the passes. And I remember we were standing right there online and, Diddy came through the VIP, went, skipped the line with his bodyguards and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, there goes Diddy, his bodyguard, skipped the line, whatever. And behind us, my homeboy tapped me and was like, yo, Diddy just skipped the line, but the kid Jay-Z, he's standing on line behind us. And I looked around and I was like he was just standing right there wearing a Georgetown shirt. And I was like, oh, that's Jay-Z. And now you look at what he's become in that time. It's kind of crazy, right?
What, was this blueprint? When was this?
This is the blueprint. Okay, so if the blueprint had not been released, it was about to be released. That song with Foxy Brown that was on some movie soundtrack. Eddie Murphy movie where he played the fat guy. It was on that soundtrack, and that
Professor
song. Professor Clump. Yeah, that song was kind of hitting on the underground scene with Jay-Z and Foxy Brown. But Don, the original body of work, not even the blueprint, the first album had not been released yet. But I think the first album came out maybe that fall. The first album came out, and then the rest is history, moving so on and so forth. So listen, I got to give him I give him props for this thing right here. I don't think this is a bad thing. Like a lot of people are spinning it to be a bad thing this morning. So you can't, like you said, Colin Kaepernick has already cashed the check.
Yeah, so, and the thing that I was reading online is Jay-Z's getting a lot of hate for doing this. The NFL's getting a lot of hate for bringing Jay-Z on. I see no downside for either party. Like, if you're the NFL, why would you not want Jay-Z, who is, he's one of the biggest celebrities of the entire world, probably, who has all the talent in the world, who's now controlling Roc Nation, who's being an agent for players. Like, the synergy makes all the sense in the world. And anybody hating on Jay-Z about it, or the NFL, they must have some sort of other agenda, because to me, there's no, it makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, why would Jay-Z let him help plan entertainment and shit? You remember where they were rolling out the Rolling Stones and all these halftime shows? People don't want that. This is the NFL. Jay-Z, we want Jay-Z.
They've been trying to get
Jigga
with halftime show for years now, but he's always been like, I don't need to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Do you know that the halftime show that is that's free? You don't get.
Do you know that Mike Scott? What's the rapper? Mike Scott? Is Mike Scott a rapper?
Scott.
Do you know he paid to be on the halftime show this year when he showed up? Adam Levine, what's his band that was playing? Maroon 5. When he showed up and whatever, he helicoptered in or whatever the fuck, he paid to be on there.
They asked Rihanna one time, and Rihanna was like, sure, it's a big platform. And she was like, well, what's the check? and they was like, we don't pay the halftime performer. And she was like, no, I'm not going to do it then. But people don't get it. That's the halftime show is a non-paid gig because they tell you in true NFL fashion, they tell you this is the biggest audience you're ever going to have.
Right.
Now, I don't know how true this is. I heard that within the 12 months after your Super Bowl performance, if you release an album, the NFL gets a cut off of that. That part sounds like Vince McMahon right there.
That sounds like the NFL. Yeah. You're going to perform for free, and then we're going to take royalties off your ass. So they all just release an album a year later.
Yeah, so I'm like, that part, the person who told me that, I was like, that don't sound right. Like, that sounds like something that Vince McMahon would do when he was controlling the WWE. So there you go right there. But I think at some point we'll see hipper halftime shows, but Super Bowl's in Miami this year, so we'll see what we get. People complain about that.
Oh, don't bring Pitbull in. That's the only thing I ask. Every time they do something in Miami, they bring in fucking Pitbull.
Pitbull is horrible. Like
I'm not a Pitbull guy. You're not a Pitbull guy?
Not a Pitbull guy at all. You know, my sister is a referee in New York State, a family court system.
Uh-huh.
Like she hears family court trials and stuff like that, whatever. And mentioning Pitbull, about a month ago, she had a case with Flo Rida, who is like Pitbull. It's like Sean. It's like what's Sean John Pitbull and Flo Rida, like the same dude. You know what I'm saying? Right. So basically, Flo Rida, I think, probably got like some stripper in the Bronx pregnant. You know what I'm saying? But his child support was something crazy, like $30,000 a month or something like that. So he wanted to get the child support lowered. You know what I mean? And you know, full disclosure, my sister was like, I don't have no problem lowering this child support. This is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Right. But son didn't show up. So she's like, if he doesn't show up, what am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so there you go.
Just write that check.
Yeah, you got to cut that check. You know, you want to come back and show up. You know what I mean? I'd be more than happy to work with you. $30,000 is a lot of money. It's not like them songs ain't hitting no more. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, you know what I mean? So shout out to Flo Rida, shout out to Pitbull, and the entire Bronx family court system. All right, let's get down to some nuts and bolts of this thing right here. Hop into some of these win totals in the NFL. I tell you what my favorite bet is right now, and I'm going to put a couple $100 on it. And it might be the homer move. I understand that. It might be the homer move. But I like the Dallas Cowboys at plus 1,300 to win the NFC.
What are the other odds in that division? Who's the favorite to win it?
The favorite to win the division. That's the conference right there.
You looking at FanDuel?
Yeah, man, I'm on FanDuel. For the division, right, the NFC East, the Cowboys are plus 150. The Eagles are minus 125.
Wow, the Eagles are a heavy favorite, huh? Wow. I don't hate it because I don't like the Eagles that much. I'm sort of surprised by that Eagles number.
Where are you at on Carson Wentz?
So Nick Foles is better. I mean, really, not kidding. I think Nick Foles is as good, if not a better quarterback. So weigh that into the discussion. Look, Carson Wentz is good. He's a functional NFL quarterback. He's not Drew Brees. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Matt Ryan or any of the premier quarterbacks. He's not. So I put him in that Joe Flacco tier. Like, he's functional. I have no problem with him, but I don't think he's great.
And that's the thing. I think the Cowboys are a better team. I won't go as far as saying Dak is a better quarterback. Now, you got to understand I'm a Tony Romo guy, so I'm never really going to, Dak is like,
different.
Yeah, he's like stepdad. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't my real daddy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm always going to give Dak a hard time because I think a healthy Romo would have had this team to the Super Bowl already. But at plus 1,300, you got a team that was a game away from the NFC Championship last year. So if I put a decent amount on this and they get to the game, I got a great hedging opportunity.
You can hedge it out, yeah. You could even hedge before that, really. Yeah, so I don't hate the bet.
What about
they need to clean up their contract situation, though, man.
Yes, their contracts.
Fuck are they doing?
I think you pay Zeke.
Pay Zeke. Pay Zeke.
He pays Zeke.
Yeah. Did you see the picture? That was a picture of Dak Prescott right before he goes in to negotiate his contract, his crack pipe. He went in and asked for 40.
Well, here's the thing. I think the organization leaked that. I don't think he went in there and said, okay, I want 40. I think this is what they're saying is we don't need Dak Prescott doesn't need to sign a contract because he's a quarterback. Dak Prescott can let this play out and he can get into the franchise tag years. When he gets to the franchise tag, it's probably going to come in around $40 million.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
After the new CBA is done, when he hits those years. So if I'm Dak, it's not like Lev Bell where you're a running back in the AFC North. You're a running back in a division where you have a player on the Bengals that's trying to kill you. You know what I'm saying? And Vontaze Burfict. He's trying to hurt you. So yes, running backs need to get franchised and need to get paid full-term contracts. That's the way I look at it, especially talented guys like Le'Veon Bell that play in probably the hardest-nosed division in football.
Yeah.
You can't even touch quarterbacks. If I'm Dak, I go to Kirk Cousins' route. Just keep franchising me, and I'll make $90 million in 3 years.
Right. Exactly.
So,
exactly. Yeah.
That's
probably the route he takes, but they do need to take care of Zeke. I mean, he's the best running back in the league. He's the biggest difference-making running back in the NFL, and without him, you're not competing.
Where are you at on the notion of running backs are replaceable, so you don't need to pay them?
I'd say there's about 3 guys that's not true for. But, being the Steelers fan that I am, what we just witnessed in Pittsburgh this last season is pretty amazing. But let's be very clear. The Steelers' offensive line is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to say I could run behind that line, but you don't need as much talent as a Zeke to run behind that Pittsburgh Steelers line. Lav Bell, for all he is a good running back, but his style of running is so unique where he's able to, wait for those blocks to develop. If he doesn't have that in front of him, I don't know what he becomes, honestly.
It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out in New York this year. I'd love to watch the kid run. I think he's a great running back. I don't know about his rap skills, but I think he's
Did he release an album? I haven't listened.
The album's coming out, or it'll be dropping soon. He might have a mixtape. It might be a couple of things that you can.
A lot of athletes do this.
I don't get it, son. I really don't get it. Outside of Damian Lillard, put it like this:
Shaq Fu.
Yeah. Shaq had a couple good jams. I'll give him that. He had a song with Notorious B.I.G. that was real good. He had the outstanding song that was real good. Other than that, Damian Lillard, Kobe Bryant released a song one time too. It was.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Allen Iverson, terrible.
AI, yeah, he was awful.
Damian Lillard actually has some skills.
I've heard Dame can rap. Yeah, I've heard that.
He actually has some skills, but I don't get it. Like I don't get it. The whole rapper athlete thing. Like you're an athlete. You just stick to that, bro.
They said every athlete wants to rap and every rapper wants to be an athlete.
I'm not trying to be like Laura Ingraham and tell you to shut up and dribble, but not a rapper, dog. You know what I'm saying? Les Bell is not a rapper.
It's just like focus on you. You could probably make a lot more money just doing a few, deals and marketing and shit.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? You're in New York now. What do you think about Les Bell in New York this year?
Man, I'm getting a lot of bet the under on Lav Bell's total yards, total touchdowns, or anything you could bet, take the under on Lav. And I think a lot of that's O-line related. I mean, they have to use him, right? Like he's going to get the usage, I would think.
The thing about it is Adam Gase is the X factor in this thing. Adam Gase don't like star players. Number one, he ran Jarvis Landry, he ran Jay Ajayi. Adam Gase don't like star players. He gets to New York, he immediately picks a fight with the general manager. He runs the general manager out of town. My thing is, does he now pick a fight with Le'Veon Bell? Le'Veon Bell has already shown that he's down to fight with you. You know what I'm saying? He's down to fight back. I worry about how that dynamic's going to work right there.
Yeah.
I think if Bell is getting his touches and doing his thing, it'll be fine. But I think if it's cracked, if they start losing, well, they're going to lose to the Jets. But like if they're losing and Bell's not getting his touches, I think it can get ugly early.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy there, I don't think. But you're absolutely right. Gase and Bell, that dynamic could be a real powder cake and explode at some point mid-season when they're 1-4.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, Adam Gase don't mind fighting, and Le'Veon Bell is like, okay, well, my paycheck is bigger, so what do you want to do? You know what I'm saying? So There you go, right there. I think that's how it's going to shake out. I could definitely see him not being a New York Jet next year. I want to talk a little AFC North right quick, and then hit on some baseball for the night. Win total for the Baltimore Ravens is coming in at 8.5. The juice is on the over at plus 120.
I'm under.
Really?
Yeah, I actually bet this. At 8.5 at 8. I bet it again. I forget what price I got, but the price was right, so I bet it twice. So I'm under Ravens. I already told you I'm heavily biased Pittsburgh Steelers right now. For lots of reasons, not just being a fan, but I think they're just going to have a great season. So I'm under Baltimore. What do you think? What do you think about the quarterback situation there? Is that going to pan out?
I like it. I'm liking some of the stuff that I'm reading and what I'm hearing. You know what I'm saying? It's his team. Last year in that playoff game when they were struggling to move the football, and Ravens fans were calling for Flacco to come and take over that game in the second half. Joe Flacco's not always going to be there. So you got to stand up and do this by yourself. They ended up losing the game. They played better in the second half. I think you're going to see – you look at the players they drafted. Hollywood Brown, a playmaker that can do things all over the field. Justice Hill, another guy that's a playmaker that can do things all over the field. Miles Boykin, a playmaker style of guy that can do things all over the field. Lamar Jackson, also that same kind of player. And then you got Mark Andrews. I think the offense is going to be unique. I think it's going to be very good. And I think they're going to win the division. I think it's going to be tough, but I think they'll win the division.
This division is probably the hardest in football, and it comes down to last two games every single year.
Yep.
Again, it'll be a hard fight, no doubt. What price you getting for them to win the division?
Let me see. Let me pull that up right quick. The Baltimore Ravens. Here's the AFC North division. The Browns are the favorite.
Get the fuck out of here. You know, I looked at that and I forgot about 2 weeks ago when I saw that. I could go on for hours about the Cleveland Brownies, but they are the single worst franchise in all of sports. I mean, they are right up there with any terrible franchise that you want to name, including Golden Knicks. Like, they are right up there. So I believe that you could give the Cleveland Browns everything and they'll fuck it up.
So let me ask you this. Do you think the public is driving Cleveland to be the favorite, or is that the bookmakers?
No, I think everything you're hearing is Baker and Odell, and they've got several running backs there, and like all the hype is right there. It's as hyped as a football team has been, and as long as I can really remember.
Eagles about a decade ago had this kind of steam with Vince Young and Pac-Man Jones and a couple other players, and they were terrible that year.
Because all they could do is disappoint. Like, we all know Odell's personality. Baker is still only entering his second year, right? And this thing can turn on them in a heartbeat. And when it does, if they are not the expectations that's been put on this team, they have to be feeling the pressure of it. And when it goes sideways, as I predict it will, it's going to get ugly in Cleveland.
They're going to be on TV more than Zion this year, so we'll see how that plays out. So the Browns are at plus 135. That's crazy. The Steelers are at plus 170.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, you like that? The Ravens are 280 and the Bengals are 2,000. The Bengals not going to win the division.
Nah, Bengals suck. Yeah, I don't mind sprinkling some Baltimore and Steelers money, to be honest with you, because that Browns price is terrible.
I think you can have the NFC South I think this is interesting because I think you can get some juice out of the NFC South. The Saints come in at minus 170, right? The Falcons are plus 320. The Panthers are plus 600. The Buccaneers are plus 1,000. I saw a tweet yesterday. I wish I had a screenshot it or favorite it or something. The NFC champion in I think 4 of the last 5 years in the preseason has been in that plus 2,000 to plus 4,000 range. That team this year that's in that range that could win the conference is the Panthers. I think the Falcons can win the conference too.
Yeah, I'm here in Carolina, and I was watching the preseason game, and I watched the whole preseason show, and there's a lot of feel good on that team. Just being here in the state, I would love to see Cam Newton put together a season because, he's another guy that I feel has not lived up to his full potential. And there's been lots of reasons for that. He hasn't had a marquee wide receiver. They've had a few they thought were going to be marquee that did, Kelvin Benjamin. Like, none of these guys panned out to be the big name wide receiver. They've got that young boy whose name I cannot remember right now, but they were showcasing him in the preseason game. Fuck was it? Can't remember his name.
Not Moore, Samuel. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel.
DJ Moore. They're talking about him. So I think the Panthers have a good upside. I don't mind that bet at all. The Saints, though, I'm a Saints guy.
Drew Brees. Yeah,
they just paid Thomas.
I'm not the biggest Drew Brees supporter. It's mainly because of fantasy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I had a fantasy team that I absolutely loved. A league, my home league, was my life for many years. It's probably why I'm single now. But he got me. He had a bad start to a season, and it kind of just messed me up. So I never rode with him again. I did not favorite that tweet yesterday, but I found that to be interesting. So obviously, you look at the New England Patriots as the favorite. Now, when you come to putting together, outside of just your algorithm and what you do, when you look at win totals and props and future bets in the NFL, what are some of your strategies that you use?
Well, the hardest part is understanding who's going to be on the team, who's going to be playing, who's going to make a difference, and then trying to figure out these rookies as quickly as you possibly can. So what I tend to do is, so every player in my algorithm will get some sort of value placed on them. So the largest amount of time is researching these rookies and trying to figure out what their value is going to be, right? So I spend a ton of time on the rookie stuff and just digging into the camps and trying to figure out what's happening. I think that's how you get an edge in the preseason as well, because you're going to see a lot of this talent displayed. And so you can't, believe it or not, people make fun of people for betting NFL preseason.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The NFL preseason is not about math at all. So I can't tell you the line on this game should be this or that. I can't do it. It's not really about math. It's a race to get the information and the data. So it's like, okay, the backup quarterback is going to play however many snaps or quarters or time. It's just finding out those pieces of who's going to play and then deciding, which team is better on the given night. So I don't hate it. I know people who do it very successfully.
Man, your boy Fried Egg Paulie in the elite sports betting, that was pretty impressive last week. And I was like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I went 8-1 or something like that. Something ridiculous.
That was crazy for the preseason. And he already has picks up right now. Don't forget EliteSportsBetting.com. You can follow on Twitter at Elite Wins. You want to get down for the NFL season. Matter of fact, sign up for that NFL VIP. You get Fantasy Guru, the DFS, and the betting. But son killed it.
Yeah, I think he went 8-1, and he's doing exactly what I just said. He's just spending time researching and finding out who's playing. And so, if you guys want to bet preseason football, you need a guy like Paulie, who's I'm tailing. I'm just betting what he's what he's saying the bet. And by the way, football 25. Grab 25% off a package over there.
There you go, football 25. I want to touch on some baseball right quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to get into tonight, but what I found interesting, it's not up here anymore. at one point in the early, and I should have jumped on it then, but then again, now it looks like it may not have been smart. It may have been right to just not, when Corey Kluber got hurt, I think the Twins to win the division was something like 350. And I was like, man, that's a good bet. You know what I'm saying? Then, because I kind of wrote the Indians off. Now you look at the Indians, and they're right back in it. Did that number ever change at any point? Like that Twins, like did the Indians become like a big underdog at any point? I never really paid attention to it again. But who wins that? Who do you think wins that division now?
So it's obviously a 2-horse race. Both teams are, they both got 72 wins. So Cleveland is showing some very nice young pitching right now. There's a couple guys up there. I think one of them's going tonight. This Bieber guy. He's 12-4 with a 3.2 ERA. So he's looking really well. The thing about Corey Kluber coming into the season is I said he's going to be the best pitcher in the major league.
Okay.
So I think it was a consensus about a lot of people. I mean, he was a hands down Cy Young winner in the AL. And so anyways, when he was hurt, obviously that number had to have moved. I don't know what it moved, but the Indians have shown some strength in their farm, and they've just really done a nice job. And so I don't know what the number is now if you have the division in front of you, but
they took the divisions down. They just got World Series in the okay, put it like this. To win the American League, the Indians are plus 1,000. The Indians and Twins are both plus 1,000 to win the American League.
Yeah, that's because of Houston.
Exactly. Tell me about it.
So I would not be betting. I would not be putting any money for anyone to win the AL outside of Houston. I know the Yankees have a better record, but Houston's a better baseball team. So there's really no action here for me, but it'll be interesting to see who closes out that.
In the NL, the Dodgers are the favorite at minus 105. Atlanta's plus 400. I like the way the Braves are playing right now. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'll watch Brave games every night because I don't by any stretch of the imagination. But I do get a good box score recap, and it seems like the Braves are winning. Like, the Mets are streaking right now. And one thing about the Mets, as much as I despise the New York Mets, when they start streaking like this, they normally finish it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're going to have a hard time.
I'm hoping it's different this year.
Yeah, they're going to have a hard time. They're playing much better than they actually are. The Braves are a good baseball team. I mean, I've said this before and people have laughed at me, but Freddie Freeman is one of the best hitters in all of baseball. Top 10 for me anyways. I know he's not as sexy as Mike Trout or some of these other guys, but the guy just gets the job done. They've got the young players in Acuna. I like Atlanta, and I mean they're going to win that. They're going to win the NL East. Let's be honest. I mean they've got a big jump on everyone else. I don't know how far they'll go. They'll play Central. They'll play the winner of the Central. They
haven't won a playoff series in a while. That's what worries me about them. Like they have this. Like last year, you had the Baby Braves, and it was okay. They made it, and you were kind of happy that they made it. The Baby Braves are coming up. This year, they're expected to do something. And my thing is, I don't want to put this on them, but if they're not in the NLCS, it may be a disappointing season for them.
Yeah, what people that don't follow the sport as closely as we do, they built a new stadium, and while they were building that new stadium, the organization made a decision: we're going to sell everyone, and they sold everyone, and they invested in their farm because their goal was we're going to get the new stadium up, we're going to bring in this baseball team that can compete. And it's actually happening, right? Like people were pissed off at the Braves 4 years ago where they sold everyone they had, but it's panning out for them. And I agree the expectations are high. I'm just not as high on them as maybe some other people.
I was down there. I've been at that time. I was going back and forth a lot down there. Some of that stadium came up overnight because the hotel I would stay at, you could literally, they was working. They had the crews out there working all the time, you know what I'm saying? And that hotel, the stadium is by the highway. And I was like, just being in this industry, I'm like, that's going to lead That's going to make being by the highway is going to make this a home run park. And I think that has played out that way. I think they are hitting more home runs than they did at Turner Field. Well, it could be because they got better players now too.
Part of it.
But that factors into it. Now, what we got for the night? Because I'm getting ready for this trip to Canton to the Canes Classic. I've been on the heat of the past couple days. Last night, it didn't work out. Last night, I was on that first 5 under of Braves-Mets. I should have just kept hammering the Braves. I was on that over with the Reds in the Nationals last night. And I did win. I believe I won. I didn't check at the end of the night. I'll log into the account now. But I did think I hit the Twins at plus 132 last night.
Nice. Did you hit it?
Yeah, I did. They won last night. Anything you like tonight?
Man, I've got some dogs.
That's what I
Some
need.
nasty dogs. Look, I'll tell you fully what I'm on. And I'm on all of these for a half a play. So, think about this. If you bet $100 a game, I'm betting 50 on these ones.
Okay.
So I'm betting the O's. Dylan Bundy. Dylan Bundy versus the Yankees. So Hap's not that good of a pitcher.
No, he's not.
And Bundy's a pretty good pitcher. So we got the O's going. I've got the Giants going at plus 108. I'm looking here. It looks like the line moved to plus 100.
On FanDuel.
If I could take a crack at Homer Bailey at even money, give me it. I'm all over
I can dig that.
I got the Phillies minus 115 for half a play. Trying to see where that number's at now. Still about minus 115. Nola's not the Nola that we would like him to be, and they're going against the Cubbies. So this game's, it's going to be close to a coin flip, but I'm leaning Philly here. And then my last play, another dog. I got KC plus 118 versus the Cardinals.
Have they been playing better baseball lately, Kansas City?
Nah, they've been okay. I mean, this Keller that's pitching tonight, he's not terrible. I can't find his ERA right now, but yeah, he's got a 4 ERA. But this Hudson pitching for St. Louis,
he stinks.
It's terrible.
Yeah, so there you go right there. All right, so that is us for today. Shout out to my man Benny. Shout out to Rob for hanging on, chopping it up with me. You know what I'm saying? We'll see when we get back at it tomorrow. For my main man, Rob, is Corey Parson, the opening line. We are out.